Welcome to a Friday, and we're probably going to be flying around at about 9,000 miles an hour. Welcome to Soccer's Morning Show here on the SDH Network. John here, you there. Here's what we've done. We've got a lot of playoffs in lower divisions, USL League 2, NPSL, USLW. If you missed the show with the North Carolina Courage and a couple of their players and Coach Willie Davis from yesterday, those have been posted to the network. So we put out the siren call to a couple of folks and a couple of different coaches and a couple of different places as they're racing to get to their playoff games and the playoff locations. And we have also reached out to some coaches that are at their hubs. So here's the deal. 10 o'clock, Ryan Martin's going to be joining us from Loudoun United to discuss the feature that Maddie Cruz did on him that is up at soccerdownhere.net. We'll get into Loudoun United's season, and we'll get you prepared for them this weekend, what's going on in USL Championship from the Loudoun United perspective. Also, we've got to go over what's going on in Major League Soccer with Atlanta United. We'll have weekend Whiparound. It might be drifting in and out of all these particular segments. And we know how coaches and owners are about being on a show. You win, you keep coming on. And so that's why we've reached out to folks. So we might be dipping in and out of conversations with folks who are traveling and going all over the place this morning. So in doing so, we are tracking down folks, and our first one that we're going to track down is I believe he's in the airport. Brett, where are you?
Yeah, I'm in the Atlanta airport. We are experiencing the nationwide outages.
Yep. So Columbus United right now is suffering through crowd strike and the delays that are happening. So he's at Hartsfield. And you're trying to get to Midland, Odessa, Texas area for West Texas. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. We fly into Houston, and then from there to Midland. We're supposed to land, mid to late afternoon out there.
Okay, how does this disrupt your plans and adjust it? How chaotic is this now because of this?
Well, we really don't know. We're supposedly boarding in about, but we really don't know what we're going to do. So we're hopeful that we'll get to board because our plane's here. Luckily, it was one that was in last night, so we haven't had to worry about the plane getting here.
All right, so before I get you back to your concourse and your gate so you can make your plane and get to Houston, tell me about the big win going to Hickory. What was it like? And this is what happens when an entire civilization is at the busiest airport on the planet, and you're trying to talk to folks who are stuck because of crowd strike. There we go. Tell me about the win before you get out of here, Brett.
Yeah, it was a great game. I expected everything that happened. Basically, I knew it would come down to just moments. They're a very good team. They've done a great job with the crowd and things like that. They had over 4,000 at the game, and it just came down to a moment. Where we went up a goal, they tied. We went up a second goal, they tied, and then we happened to get the third one. These ran out of time, so they couldn't tie us again. So it was a great match. I don't feel like either team lost. It just one team ran out of time. I think both teams competed really, really well, and I was impressed with the way their guys played and the way they carried themselves. And then after the match, the class with which their entire organization treated us and their fans were amazing. So it was a great game, but it's like I expected it to be, though.
All right. Like I said, I just wanted to have you in a couple of minutes, figure out where you were on your journey. Be safe, make crowd strike, help everybody out, and get you to Houston and get you to the matchup tomorrow against West Texas. Be safe. We'll catch up with you on the flip side. Thanks again for hopping in from Hartsfield.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
You too. Brett Teach, the head coach at Columbus United. And so that's kind of what we're looking at here. Brett is in the airport, and so that's where Columbus is right now. Columbus United is getting ready to get to West Texas. So you heard what Brett has to do. He and like 9 gazillion other folks are trying to get out of Hartsfield-Jackson. They've got a playoff game. At least it's tomorrow. NPSL playoffs are tomorrow. We'll go over the matchups in a little bit. We might go over them here in just a second. But League 2 is today. NPSL is tomorrow. And so you've got teams that are going around all over the place, and hopefully the USL League 2 teams, if they're going on ground, they should be okay. If they're in the air, and hopefully they traveled yesterday to get to their locations. All right. So since we caught up with Brett Teach at Columbus United, let's go through the NPSL matchups. Like I said, it's weekend whip around. We've got to go through the juice boxes with Major League Soccer. We've got to go through the referee assignments for Major League Soccer this weekend and see where things are when it comes to the three groups. You've got the lead group in each division. You got Chase Group number 1, Chase Group number 2. So it's almost turned into a Tour de France kind of a thing in the Eastern Western Conference. All right, NPSL playoffs. Now that we got to catch up with Brett Teach. West Region, tomorrow, El Farolito. We know about them and deep runs into tournaments. El Farolito is taking on FC Arizona. That's tomorrow in the West. Midwest Region, Steel City in Pittsburgh, hosting Duluth FC. Yes, we have reached out to John Shuster. We'll see where they are on their travel, and we'll find out if they flew or if they were flying or if they're driving from Duluth, Minnesota to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's one of the questions. Like I said, we've reached out to Shuey. We'll see if he drops in. South Region, West Texas FC, Midland, Odessa area, Columbus United. That's tomorrow. East Region, FC Motown, New York Shockers. That's tomorrow. So FC Motown beat Virginia Dream. Those are the two teams that in the Northeast, they'll bring in old MLS players. Virginia Dream, actually, I think had Bill Hamid on their roster. And so FC Motown, they'll bring in old MLS players and things like that. So it's FC Motown, New York Shockers. That's your final 8 in the NPSL. Whew. All right. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating today being here on the show, is flying around and seeing what's going on. Morning, Alex. Morning, Will. Morning, Bam. Happy, yes. MLS open transfer window. And may the moves be fast and furious. So we'll see how the moves are with everybody. Marco Royce, probably looking like LAG. Yesterday on the show, we had the Samuel Adeniran move that broke during the show, where Sam Adeniran had a change of address. That's out there. And so we still are looking at international transfers. Like I said, Marco Royce on the board and possibly to LAG. But once again, you're looking at massaging salary caps and things like that. No, Tom, because we do have to talk about that. Tom says it's not a good morning all. Will, are we still in the Peloton? Yeah, everybody is still in the Peloton. You have not been dropped from the back because of a timing issue. Everyone is still engaged. Since Tom brought it up, I'll go ahead and bring it up this morning. The takeover bid fell through for Everton. And so here is the details. And once again, this is courtesy of our friends at Talk Sport. LAFC, according to BAM, has a puncture. Everton have announced that the Friedkin Group, those talks have ended. TalkSport revealed last month that Farhad Mashiri had accepted an offer from the U.S.-backed buyers. Roma owner Dan Friedkin emerged as the front runner. However, the deal is now off the table after the due diligence stage following a similar collapse led by 777 partners earlier this summer. Friedkin Group were viewed as an answer to Everton's ownership issues. Once again, this is wording from TalkSport. But have withdrawn their interest to plunge the side outfit back into crisis. In a statement, Everton said, quote, following a period of exclusivity, discussions between Blue Heaven Holdings and the Friedkin Group over a potential sale of a majority stake have ended. The Friedkin Group will not be progressing with a purchase of the club. Both Blue Heaven and the Friedkin Group entered discussions in good faith to explore whether a sale could be agreed. Discussions have concluded. Parties agree it is in both their interest for Everton to explore alternative options. Friedkin Group will remain a lender to the club and is proud to have played a key role in enabling the new stadium to be built, which will ensure a bright future for both Everton and the city of Liverpool. Blue Heaven Holdings maintains a positive relationship with the Friedkin Group. Well, I would hope so if they're going to continue to lend you money, and would like to thank them for the time and effort they put on the process. When there's further news to share, provided by the club's official communication channels. So, no, it is not a fun morning for Ropes and Tom and Evertonians. So you got to keep an eye on that situation. It's back where it was. And another couple of quick things here. It looks like Inter Milan has an agreement in place with Venezia over Tanner Tessman. 22-year-old is running on an expired contract. No intention to hang any further at the Stadio Pierluigi Penzo. Inter pounced on the opportunity, securing an accord. This is from our friends at One Football. ironing out final details for personal terms. Antonelli confirmed the two clubs have now reached a full agreement, closed the deal. Inter will have started looking for a solution. And so there you go. Reported yesterday to start, but now apparently Tanner Tessman to Inter Milan is now getting closer to being officially official. So keep an eye out on that and everything else that's going on. Will, 777. It's not exactly been a good faith partner in their soccer owning, so I don't think we should be shocked by this. No, 777. And we have gone deep into 777 partners, and it was, they ain't all that. And Yosemar Football is a site that does some tremendous work, and they have done a lot of deep dives on 777 and how they may not be worth the paper that they are printed on. I would suggest your required reading be their background stuff on 777, where assets are being seized, they're in courts, multiple countries are combining their resources to chase after 777. And when 777 can only get loans secured at basically 35 to 40% interest rates, that ought to tell you stuff. But yeah, our friends at Yosemar Football, Josimar Football, have done some great investigative work when it comes to 777. I don't know. I hit reset, Tom. Reset your button. Bonza Airlines we talked about Bonza and a bunch of other things. Standard Liège, I think, had their assets seized. Will says, I know Red Star in Paris love them because they're everything that fan base is against. Think St. Pauli, but Parisian. They loathe them. We did talk about Bonza Airlines and Standard Liège and all of those other things involving 777. So, yes. Local club had them as a shareholder along with you. So go to Yosemar Football and catch up with our friends there, and they'll let you know everything you need to know about 777. Let's see, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Let's go ahead and do that out west, since we have whiplashed our way into international stuff because of the transactions in Everton while we're here. Looks like West Ham is in talks over N'Golo Kante from Saudi club Al Ittihad, which could cost in the region of £20 million. Spurs aiming to beat Fulham to sign Scott McTominay, 3-letter paper. Keep an eye on the 3D. Drew will let you know what's going on with his beloved United. Fulham want to bring in Andre from Fluminense as they look to replace Joao Palhinha, who moved to Bayern Munich. Arsenal look to send their interest in Mark Gahey to Crystal Palace, and who's demanding more than $70 million for the 24-year-old international. Brentford expected to reduce their asking price to less than £50 million for Ivan Toney because of a lack of interest. 3-letter paper. Manchester United remain interested in PSG's midfielder Manuel Ugarte. Spurs have been in daily contact with representatives of Jonathan David as they consider submitting an offer to Lille. Chelsea plan on rewarding Cole Palmer, you damn well better, with an incremental wage rise following his form last season. QPR interested in New Zealand's former Bayern winger Sarpreet Singh. Italy's defender Riccardo Calafiori has been asked to take part in Bologna's preseason as Arsenal try to reach an agreement on evaluation. Chelsea reportedly approached Lens to sign striker Eli Wahi as the Blues failed approach for the Frenchman last summer. Now hits round 2. Lyon reportedly set to announce the signing of Southampton 16-year-old forward Alejandro Gomez Rodriguez from the England U16s in a 3-year deal. It's from Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea reportedly asked PSG about the availability of Gonzalo Ramos and Randall Colomawani to replace the departing Romelu Lukaku. It also appears that Lukaku is finding a new home within the league itself. So that is your gossip, rumor, and innuendo involving everything going on overseas. So once again, let me go through the rundown this morning. We're checking to see if our friends from Beyond Goals can visit at 9:30. If not, that's when we'll do Weekend Whip Around and get you squared away with all of that. We do know that Weekend Whip Around's got to get moving. I could blow through the juice boxes, and that might help out a little bit. I'm convincing myself I think I probably should go ahead and start doing that while we're waiting to see if guests can come in or not. And once again, 10 o'clock, Ryan Martin, head coach at Loudoun United, joining us. a great feature piece that Maddie did over at soccerdownhere.net. And we're going to explore Loudoun United a little deeper and Coach Martin and his relationship and what he's learned with his time there at Loudoun at 10 o'clock. 10:20 to the end of the show. We're going to be flying and catching up with everything all across all of the other divisions. So that's your rundown. Whatever's on your mind, put it in the comments. Morning, Abby. Morning, Tom. Morning, Will. Morning, Emilio. And apparently, Abby cannot access her tickets on the Atlanta. Well, that's probably CrowdStrike. And because a lot of folks are having problems with ticketing and computers and a whole bunch of things this morning. So it might be the CrowdStrike issue. Juice boxes. Let's run through those involving Major League Soccer while we got a couple minutes. And this is me finally determining that our friends at Odds Portal do things alphabetically by the home team when the start times are the same. Atlanta United is an underdog with Crew coming to Atlanta United north of plus 200 at a plus 204, and Crew are a plus 114. And, so I start one thing and knowing that somebody was going to crash the party. I knew he was going to crash the party. All right, let me go to Shuey. So where exactly are you?
I'm at home for now.
All right. So what was the deciding factor? Are you flying? Are you driving? What's the deal?
The team is on a bus, and I believe they're waking up this morning in Dublin, Ohio, and making the rest of the way to Pittsburgh. And I'm flying out tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
Okay, just because I know that was a concern about having to figure out. Okay, we win in Des Moines, and we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
So you win in Des Moines. You tried to figure it out. How long did it take you to figure out? Okay, we just need to get them on a bus and get them out of here, and then we'll figure out the rest as we go.
We pretty much decided when they left that they were just going to take the bus the whole way. So, and I mean, it's I just encouraged the guys. I went there and I was like, here's the deal. You're never going to forget about this. Like, you go and get a big win down in Des Moines. If you guys can pull that off, hop on the bus. Like, the team's such a family. I mean, they really come together in that aspect. So I think, whether it's 2 days or 3 days of travel, whatever it is. I mean, it was only 12 hours of driving. Okay. So it's just a little breakup in 2 days. So yeah, I hope they played some Cards Against Humanity and had some fun on the bus, and we going to make sure we fed them good all week. So, yeah, whatever.
Okay, so break down the win for me. I was keeping an eye on social media where you got to catch up with some old friends and things like that, folks that you hadn't seen in a long time. Break down the win for me, and what did you see from an owner's perspective about the guys that were playing for a living?
It was really just a great soccer game. We managed about a 15-foot storm there in the first half from the Iowa Demon Hawks. So they're a really well put together team, to be honest. And we had a few chances that didn't kind of come to fruition in the first half. It could have maybe got a goal either way, and it went 0-0 to half. And second half came out, and yeah, we missed a grade A chance, just about a foot wide. And then our guy who was in the golden boot running had another grade A chance on his foot, and he put her off the post. And then finally, we busted them. That they kind of had their left back get a little bit dinged up with a hamstring, and we kept picking on him with our right forward. And Liam finally got around him and put a good shot in there and then actually, you need to find the highlight reel from our second goal. My wife's I'll get it on social media, but with probably, I think, like in the 80th minute, ball got centered to one of our guys who had two defenders, and he clipped the ball up to himself and scissor kicked it in the side of the net. It was fantastic. So
so is there an ISO on you at this particular moment? Does someone have a camera on you, or they shoot?
No. all I'm doing in the stands is, and our coach does soccer coaching, and I'm really loud, as you probably can tell even from here.
What?
Just from what I do for a living, but but for me, it's the thing that I preach to all the players, and I know all these guys personally. I'm an owner, but also try to be a mentor to all these guys, and for me is just reminding them to work, like in the stands, and when they do something great is to give them an extra. Our goalie actually made a couple great saves during the game, and he's at the far end, and I'm yelling, great stop, Jamie. So that's like 3 clean sheets in a row, and the guy started 1 game all year. So
when you need mentoring, who's on your speed dial?
My wife, my mom, and my sports psychologist.
Well, because
So,
I ask that because you have your reference points. You as a mentor to the players and to the team. That's why I wanted to ask. When it comes to you needing your mentoring and your advice, that you can there in turn continue to pass forward as an owner for a soccer club. That's why I was asking.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten my stuff, a lot of it. Like I just learned over the years. I knew when I came into curling when I was young, that I wasn't going to be the best shooting person on earth. I'm very good. I'm very capable. Don't get me wrong, but I wanted my competitive advantage to be not making mistakes and trying to be mentally tough and growing over all these years. And so I kind of accumulated it. But I think my biggest chance at that growth was when Carly Anderson came on with Premier Sports Psychology, came on with USA Curling in 2015, and when we got back onto the national team, she became a sounding board to give me some tools and to also be a sounding board to make sure that I had what I was doing mentally was on the right track. And I think at the Olympics, when I finally turned it around, she was just most of the time was in the morning being like, I can't, this is where I'm at today, and she's like laughing and knowing it's going to happen. And so but I can't, my wife and my mom though are my daily sounding boards. They're constantly like there too. So
John Shuster, Grand Exalted Poobah, Duluth FC, as the team is on the road heading to Pennsylvania, and Shuey's going to catch a flight first thing in the morning to get out of MSP and get to Pittsburgh to try to be there in time for the match. And as I've told you, I said, this is off my shoulder. This is off my shoulder every single day here on the network, in the studio. Your Duluth FC scarf is right here. It is a touchstone for me every single morning. I can sit here and say that I have a place to mail things, and you have a place to mail things that I can go off in the studio. How proud are you of this group that has been assembled, and how proud are you of Duluth FC continuing to do what it's been doing over time?
Yeah, I'm incredibly proud. And last year when we had the year where we finished the year, the number 1 seed, where we just keep winning, we keep getting home games for playoffs. There's something to that, and have it end as tragically as it did, and the way that our entire team kind of came together. And there's enough players that felt like there was unfinished business, that there was never a doubt they were coming back this summer to go after. And then they come in here and bing, bang, boom, we lose 3 games during the season, which, didn't happen until the end. And not that we lost at the beginning, but along the way. And it really just allowed for growth. And I talked to our coach a lot more than I used to. Him and I become like great friends in this too. And I think he realized, that I have some value in even being a sounding board for him. So yeah. And that growth throughout the year, I'm so proud of where they got to, because I got him living with me too, and one of the leaders on the team that lives in my house, and same deal, is just trying to make sure that these guys realize that it's not going to matter until we get to playoffs. Like, let's just build and build and build, and getting to playoffs is job one, and then when you get to the trophy game, that's when you worry about winning trophies, because I think they came in here talking about trophies. I said, hey boys, we got to focus on the process here and let the results happen.
Owner, billeter, Grand Exalted Poobah of everything going on with Duluth FC. Duluth FC is the number 3 seed in the Midwest region. They are traveling to Pennsylvania to take on Steel City FC. They are the number 1 seed. It is tomorrow. Do you know what time kick time is tomorrow?
7 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay, so 7 p.m. Eastern. Follow along on all the social medias and follow John on his, because I'm sure that other folks will be taking his phone away from him so they can post things and he can focus on the match.
Oh, no. My phone will be in my pocket because I'm going to be getting texts. I'm traveling out there, but I'm also going out there taking I get lots of miles for curling things. So I decided our general manager, our media guy get to both need to be there more than I do. I'm just a bonus. So
miles and points, brother. I know exactly what that is all about. If you would please, sir, be safe and get out there, and may the guys be safe and be healthy and have a fantastic match tomorrow. Thank you for crashing. As you well know, you have golden ticket status, and it doesn't matter when or where or how. If you want to come in and talk about anything from Minnesota United and your Loons and your new coach to what's going on with you, to all of your stops on. You circle back after the weekend, and we'll catch back up, and hopefully you'll still be rolling. But it's always great to see you, my friend. Be safe, get out there, and come up with a result on Saturday.
All right. Thanks, John. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. That's Jon Shuster. And that is that's part of the cool. I don't know. Is Shuster a Trampled by Turtles fan? Okay, so we'll have to ask this. All right, so let me shoot him an email real quick since he all right, so reply. How many people am I replying to here? No, Brett's been on the show. So I'm sitting here and eliminating folks, trying to figure out who I can talk to here. All right. So it's like when you hit reply all, let's say inquiring minds from the audience want to know if you're a Trampled by Turtles fan. If I could spell turtles fan. All right. So I have asked Jon Shuster that question. Inquiring minds from the audience want to know if you're a Trampled by Turtles fan. So there you go. All right. So now Shuey has been asked that question. So here's the deal. Jon Shuster is catching a flight tomorrow, and he's going out there. The team is already on their way on a bus. Thank you. A folk bluegrass band out of Duluth. Yes. So Trampled by Turtles, a folk bluegrass band out of Duluth. So that now we know. And now, in a situation like this, thank you for filling in the holes with all of that. So, thank you for filling that in, because I was trying to figure out what the what that was all about.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Yes, thank you. That was what I was trying to get to. I had no idea. I have never heard of Trampled by Turtles. So there we go. Abby, public service announcement. Free ice cream at Supporters Tailgate given out by Atlanta United Legends. National Ice Cream Month brought to us by our friends at Brewster's. I saw the notice. I don't know who the Legends are, Abby. If you are at liberty to discuss who the Legends are, let me know. Yes, while supplies last. The Legends or the ice cream? So, yeah, free ice cream at the tailgate given out by Atlanta United Legends. So, got to keep an eye out for that. But, all right, so Chewy has been alerted. He wanted to know if, all right, so Trampled by Turtles. All right, juice boxes. We were getting into that. And so, of course, the second I get into juice boxes, we're probably going to have somebody else come in. So we've been joined by Brett Teach at Hartsfield Jackson International Airport, waiting for a flight to Houston. They're stuck in crowd strike problems at the world's busiest airport. Jon Shuster, his team is on a bus. They're heading to Steel City to take on Steel City tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Shuey's catching a flight out of Minneapolis tomorrow morning at 5, first thing, to get out there and joining with the media relations and a couple of other front office folks. Miles and points. That's the beautiful part. All right. So where were we? Atlanta United, Columbus Crew. Atlanta United is a plus 204, and Columbus Crew is a plus 114. And the draw, if I can find it, is a plus 282. CF Montreal and Toronto FC, part of Canadian Classique. CF Montreal is actually favored at Stade Saputo. We all know about Stade Saputo. At a plus 112, your draw is a plus 270. Toronto FC is a plus 218. Messi and Friends, which is just going to be and Friends, taking on Chicago in Fort Lauderdale. Messi and Friends, the and Friends are a minus 147, as they should be. Both the draw and Chicago Fire at a plus 333, plus 334 within the margin of error. Also, Revs hosting FC Dallas. Revs are favored on the minus side at a minus 110. Draws a plus 291. FC Dallas is a plus 260. Red Bulls in Cincinnati. Red Bulls are a minus 104. Draws a plus 271. FC Cincinnati is a plus 264. Once again, FC Cincinnati missing center backs and because of injury. And remember, they're not going to have Miles because of the Olympics. Orlando City and NYC. Purple team is a plus 102. Your draw is a plus 273. NYC is a plus 242. Philadelphia Union, who set history having Kevin Sullivan come into the match in the midweek. They are favored at home, minus 127 as Nashville SC comes to town. Your draw is a plus 298, so basically a plus 300. And Nashville to win is a plus 308. 8:30 starts, or 8:30 projections for 8:40 starts. The broadcast starts at 8:30. Austin FC and Charlotte. Charlotte on the road, they are an underdog at a plus 179. Draw is a plus 247. Austin FC at home at Q2 is a plus 142. Minnesota United, John Schuster's Loons, minus 133. San Jose is a plus 304. No real surprise. Draw is a plus 321 for the game at Allianz. The interstate battle between Sporting and All Caps. Sporting is favored at a minus 112. Draws a plus 295, and St. Louis City SC is a plus 266. 9:30 broadcast start, Colorado and RSL. We talked to Nico Moreno about that matchup as a part of weekend whip-around with him yesterday and playing Cliffhanger with him and Nick. Colorado is a plus 102. Draws a plus 286. RSL without Chicho Arango is a plus 234. Seattle, 10:30 broadcast start, hosting LAFC. Seattle is favored at a plus 148. Draw is a plus 244. LAFC is a plus 175. Also, 10:40 broadcast start, Vancouver hosting Houston. Vancouver is a plus 106. Draw is a plus 273. Houston is a plus 233. 10:45 start, LA Galaxy, Portland Timbers. LAG is a minus 132. Draw is a plus 345. And Portland on the road at LAG in Carson is a plus 285. So that's what you're staring at with your juice boxes here. Yes, it is. It is legitimately a Friday pre-juice box hour. All right. Going back to the discussion about Trampled for Turtles. Tom says the only blues group he's familiar with is Hayseed Dixie. I don't know a whole lot of bluegrass except for maybe Sierra Hull. That's about the extent of it for me. Abby says, only been told one for sure, one legend, not at liberty to say, awaiting if a second is confirmed. Yes, Will. Since we're kind of off the rails, we'll go ahead and take it off the rails. It's fine. It's like Wall Pass Wednesday on a Friday. Fine. The end of the Newhart series. I assume the second one, not the Bob Newhart show, but the Newhart show where he was with the Inn. Greatest one of the show endings ever. Absolutely agree. Because if I remember the story correctly, they had to kind of smuggle. No one knew that Suzanne Plachette was going to be in that last scene. And in the last scene, as they're taping it, they had to obviously keep the set dark. And, you know, they knew that Bob Newhart was in bed or whatever. And then they had to kind of smuggle under the cover of darkness Suzanne Plachette into the bed for that last scene. And you want to talk about a pop. We always talk about pops. You know, when the crowd, they get that first crowd reaction, the pop that we talk about. You want to talk about a TV studio pop, one of the loudest, longest pops ever that I can recall, is when the lights come up, the lamp turns on, and Suzanne Plachette has that first response with Bob Newhart. The pop on that moment, it's one of the loudest pops I can think of when it comes to a taped in front of a live studio audience kind of thing. That's one of the loudest pops I can think of in television. Emilio asking the question if the Legends can still play. I don't know if I don't know if you can make a roster exception. I don't know if there's a Legends roster exception. That'd be the problem. Will, it is the Friday pre-juice box hour. Messy sprain of some sort with ligament involvement. Didn't hear what grade. He's going to be out for these two matches, midweek and weekend. Not playing. We'll get into the availability report coming up in a bit. But I would not be surprised as we lean into All-Star Week and activities in Columbus. If he shows up, sure. I don't know how active he will be in All-Star. I think that he's got to be there, and I think he's got to sit there and do the imitation palatial wave to everybody at the Death Star at Lower.com Stadium in Columbus and go, hi, I'm here. I don't think he's playing. Maybe skills. I don't know. but you know he's going to be there. You know he's got to wave, and you know he's going to do all the things. You just ain't playing. Yes, Abby, absolutely true. Don't know if you can do a short-term call-up on that. Bam is saying load up on Seattle. And sprains, Abby says, take a long time to heal, longer than fractures. But yeah, when you see an ankle like that look like a batting donut from the old days of looking at on deck circles, and those kinds of things, that was wild. I mean, I know the whole thing about gravity and sprains and things like that, but man, that was just that was absolutely wild to see something that size. Availability report down the line, and we'll get into the disciplinary summary for match day 27 after this. Obviously, no Noah Cobb, no Caleb Wiley for Atlanta because of international duty. Edwin Mosqueda out with a knee still. No one out for Austin. Junior Urso out for Charlotte. Chicago Fire out. Chase Gasper, Andrew Gutman, Navarro. Jarrett Shaqiri still hasn't returned from Euro duty. And Chicago is apparently cool with this still. Frank Klopas was asked about it after the Euros, and not so big Shaq hadn't returned yet. And Frank was like, we talk to him regularly. We know what's going on. We're cool. Okay. So they're cool with it. Carlos Terran. So 5 players out for Chicago Fire, 4 from leg injuries and 1 because he's not there. FC Cincinnati, no Alec Can, no Malik Pinto, Lucho Acosta questionable because of a foot injury. And so, of course, what did I do? I started him on my fantasy team. Colorado, Adam Beaudry out international duty. Calvin Harris out with an injury. Georgi Mihailovic out with international duty. Jackson Travis is out with a groin. Evan Bush is the only injury for Columbus heading into the weekend. FC Dallas, Bam says load up on Seattle. Out. Delgado, Ferreira, Frazier, Jesus, Pomacall, Velasco. No wonder FCD is a dog. Questionable is Jaramendi and Peter Musa. DC United out. Connor Antley. Russell Canals is not attached to an injury status. Jacob Morel is out with a head injury. You have to keep an eye on those. Houston, Nelson Quinones out with a knee. LAFC, Della Valle out with a knee. Galaxy, Aude, Brugman, and the Bishop, Dejan Joveljic, all out with injuries, groin, knee, and a hammy. Inter Miami, Kremoski, obviously out on international duty. You want to catch up on Benja Kremoski, then you can go to MLSsoccer.com. They've got him on the front page wearing the stars and stripes. No Farias, no Freire, no Messi. So it's and friends again, and they're favored again. Minnesota United, Bacharach, Taylor, Trapp out. Clint Irwin, questionable. So you might be down to your third keeper if you're Minnesota United. Montreal, Ketterer out. Lapalainen, questionable. Nashville, out. Gaines, Godoy, Leal, McNaughton. Surridge, questionable. Emilio, only one player out for Columbus, and it's Evan Bush. So it's going to depend on what Wilfred Nancy wants to do, if he wants to rotate, or if he's bringing in first choice. I imagine that to keep pace, it might be something close to first choice. We'll go over the standings, too. Revs, again, crazy listing of folks who are injured. Boateng, Barrero, Buck, Shankalai, we know he's out for the year. Both heels. So you don't have one heel that's injured. You got both your heels that are injured. Carlos and Nacho, Nick Lima. Questionable. Jones, DeJuan Jones, Kay, McNamara, Peyton Miller, and Vrioni. New England's in a world of hurt, and I mean that figuratively and literally. NYC out. Gray, Malachi Jones out for the year. Kevin O'Toole and Andres Perea. Red Bulls out. Forsberg, Rawld Mitchell, Ngoma, Peter Stroud, John Tolkien's on international duty. Purple team. Halliday, Duncan McGuire, international duty, and Mason Stadahar out for the year. Philadelphia, Isaiah LaFleur is the only injury. Portland has a match day 27 bye. RSL out. Bonilla, Ruiz, Silva, Justin Glad is questionable. And remember, they also don't have Chicho Arango, who's out on suspension. San Jose, you want to know why they're a dog in the juice boxes, in addition to being last in the West? Out. Akapo, Daniel, Marcinkowski, Medina, Ochoa, Ricketts, Sakiris, Wilson, questionable, Vitor Costa. Seattle, out. Atencio and Hawkins on international duty. Brodilio Rodriguez with a hammy. Sporting out. Jake Davis and Felipe Hernandez, who officially, I believe, has retired, is listed as out not due to injury. Ndembe and Pulskamp is out on international duty with the U.S. team. Questionable Memo Rodriguez, Danny Rosario, Johnny Russell. All caps out. Alm, Klaus, Ostrak. Pompeo is out for the year. Joaquin Nilsson, questionable with a hamstring. Toronto. Coelho, Cervania, Spicer, out. Vancouver, Bendick, Blackman, out. And so that's what you're staring at with the injury report released by our friends at Major League Soccer. Disciplinary summary. And that was Tuesday's notes, by the way, as to out and out. You got a bunch of 17s. Chicho Arango out for the 20th as well. We mentioned that. Caution accumulation warnings. You have folks that are currently one caution away from a suspension and or a fine. Atlanta United is not in that discussion at all. Neither is anybody from Columbus. So, Timbers and RSL fined for mass confrontation. That was earlier this week. Violation of the mass confrontation policy in the 7th and 22nd minutes of their match against RSL back on July 13. Portland violated the policy for the first time this season, and an official warning. I feel like official warning, like the robot in Lost in Space, has been issued to Phil Neville and the club. Due to their roles in the mass confrontation, Claudio Bravo, Miguel Araujo, Dario Zuprich, Juan Mosqueda, Evander, Eric Wilson, Felipe Mora issued undisclosed fines for inciting and or escalating a mass confrontation. So they all got envelopes from the league. RSL players got fined for the confrontation in the 22nd minute, the same match. Salt Lake have violated the policy for the second time, and Mastroeni and the club have been fined undisclosed amounts. Alexandros Kotranis, Andres Gomez, Christian Arango issued undisclosed fines for inciting and or escalating a mass confrontation. Miles Robinson got fined an undisclosed amount for failing to leave the field in a timely manner for his match against Charlotte on the 13th. Stian Gregerson got fined for not leaving against FC Montreal. Marino Hinestrosa, undisclosed amount for failing to leave the field in a timely manner a week ago against LAFC. So those are your notes on fines, suspensions, warnings, finger wags, all of that kind of stuff. VAR will be available this weekend. Bam, I don't know if you want it at this rate. Here's your assignments. Since we're in that vein, once again, Ryan Martin, head coach at Loudoun United, joining us at the top of the hour. Your assignments for week 28. Adjust appropriately. Rosendo Mendoza is the man in the middle for Atlanta and crew. Corey Parker, Jeffrey Schwartzel, your ARs. Nabil Bin Salah is your fourth. Kevin Terry Jr. is your VAR. Fabio Tovar is your AVAR. Marcus de Oliveira is the man in the middle for Messi and friends in Chicago. David Barry, who was VAR in the matchup in the midweek for Atlanta United at NYC and was also the man on VAR for Atlanta United and LAFC, and the Brad Guzan Red in the Mateus Bogish incident, is your VAR for Messi and friends in Chicago Fire. We still haven't addressed briefly why it took 3 minutes to make the right call on what could have been the second goal for Atlanta United, which was offside. It was the correct call that Xande Silva was coming back from an offside position to touch the ball for Atlanta United, but it took 3 minutes to get to that conclusion. Instead of looking at the goal in and of itself, it took 3 minutes to go back in the play while it was the right call and have Xande Silva being judged to touching the ball coming back from an offside position. Once again, 3 minutes to make the right call. Let's be faster, people. CF Montreal and Toronto FC. Armando Villarreal's the man in the middle. Pierre-Luc Lozier is your fourth. Edvin Jurasevich is your VAR. Joseph Batko is your AVAR. Mark Allerton, man in the middle for Revs and FC Dallas. Yunus Morakchi, your VAR. Mike Kampmeinert. Morakchi and Kampmeinert seem to be paired together in VAR and AVAR a lot. Red Bulls in Cincinnati. Ted Uncle, man in the middle for Red Bulls in Cincinnati. Have fun with that in Harrison, New Jersey. Jorge Gonzalez is your VAR. Rene Parra is your AVAR. Purple team in NYC, Joe Dickerson is the man in the middle for that one. Alejandro Mariscal is your VAR. Jonathan Johnson is your AVAR. I wish you Godspeed. Purple team and NYC. Union and Nashville, Chris Penso is the man in the middle there. Guido Gonzalez Jr. is your fourth. Kevin Stott is your VAR. Q2, Austin FC and Charlotte. John Freeman is the man in the middle. Chantal Boudreau is one of your ARs. Katerina Koroleva is your VAR. And Claudio Badia is your AVAR. Sporting and all caps, Rubiel Vasquez, the man in the middle there. Ricardo Montoyo Araya is your VAR. TJ Zablocki is your AVAR. Minnesota and San Jose, Ismir Pekmic, man in the middle. Lucas Zapala is your fourth. Reserving comment. VAR, Luis Guardia. Your AVAR is Tom Supple. Colorado and RSL, Remy Touchant is the man in the middle. Corey Rockwell is your AR, one of your ARs. Sean Tahini is your VAR. Robert Schapp, your AVAR. Seattle and LAFC. Alan Chapman, man in the middle there. Edvin Jurasevich is your VAR. Jonathan Johnson, your AVAR. Fotis Bazakis in the middle for Vancouver and Houston. Eunice Marakchi is your VAR along with Craig Lowry. Craig Lowry. And LAG in Portland. Sergi Boyko, the man in the middle. Timothy Ford is your fourth. Jorge Gonzalez is paired with Mike Kampmert in the VAR booth. So those are your assignments for Week 28 in Major League Soccer. For Atlanta United and Atlanta United 2 and MLS Next Pro, they have a matchup against Crown Legacy this weekend. And there's one matchup tonight. It is NYCFC 2 on top of the parking deck against Philadelphia Union 2. And checking to see Velimir Stefanovic is the man in the middle at the Sportsplex at Matthews for the 5 o'clock kick on Sunday afternoon. Hillis Waddell, the third, and Jennifer Dumaine are your ARs. Your fourth is John Matto. So that's your ref assignments for the weekend involving Atlanta United, involving Major League Soccer, and involving Atlanta United 2 as they go to Crown Legacy with that matchup in MLS Next Pro on the board. Getting into the standings once again to remind you about where things are with the teams in the Peloton. You've got three distinct groups. You got the lead group with the yellow jersey right there. They're in the lead. Then you've got the first chase group and the second chase group. In the East, just to remind you where things are, Columbus has 2 matches in hand because of CONCACAF, and so they can make up some ground if they win out when those weekends or weekdays are caught up. Messi and friends right now on top at 50 points, 2 points ahead of Cincinnati. Both have played 24 matches. Columbus, 2 matches in hand, 5 points back. They're at 43. If they win out, they're at 49 when those matches are made up, if they keep the pace. That's your first group in the East. Chase group number 1. Red Bulls at 38 on 9 wins and 11 draws, by the way. NYCFC, 11 wins. They basically have flipped what we see from Red Bulls. NYC is at 11 wins, 37 points. Charlotte, 10 wins, 36 points. That's your first chase group. Orlando is kind of lagging at the end of that first chase group. And since we're in the mountains right now, or at least we were earlier in the week with that Tour de France thing, if you're lagging off the back, you might get caught by the next chase group. So Orlando right now, they're 3 points behind Charlotte. They're in 7th. 6 points. There's a bit of space. So there's a bit of wiggle room there at the end of that second chase group. Third group, the second chase group, is chaos. Literally 8 to the bottom. 3, 6, 8 teams separated by 5 points. Like I said, we knew that the East was going to be a street fight. It just so happens right now it's for the 8-9. Toronto, Montreal, both at 27 points. Toronto has 2 more wins. And Montreal has a match in hand. That's your playoff bar. Montreal, 27 points. Nashville's at 26 points. They have a better points per match average, having played 1 less match than DC, and a better goal difference. Nashville, 6 wins, 26 points. They're in 10th. DC, 6 wins, 26 points. They're in 11th. Atlanta, right now, 24 matches played, 2 points out of a playoff spot, 2 points out of the 8-9. They're 25 points. Better goal difference than Chicago. big better goal difference than Chicago. Philadelphia is now at 24 points with their big win. They've evened up their goal difference margin, and New England right now at 22 points. They have a goal difference of minus 24. 22 matches played. They've only scored 22 goals. They are dead last in the East, 15th with 22 points. The Western Conference, your league group, LA, LAFC, and RSL. No real surprise there. LAFC, though, has 2 matches in hand on LAG. They have a match in hand on RSL. LAG's at 46 points. LAFC, 2 matches in hand at 44. RSL, 1 match in hand at 44. So everybody's chasing. LAFC has already played 25 matches. They'll play their 26th this weekend. LAFC in Salt Lake, they have some wiggle room to catch up and surpass. First chase group. Vancouver at 38 points, 11 wins. Colorado, 38 points, 11 wins. Vancouver, better goal difference, so that's why they're in 4th and not 5th. Seattle is at 37 points. Portland's at 36. Houston is at 34. So that's your first chase group. 5 teams, 4 points to go from 4th to 8th. Good week can get you moving up. Bad week can get you heading closer to the play-in. 9th right now, your third group is Minnesota, Austin, Dallas. Minnesota's at 30 points. Austin's at 30 points. Worst goal difference. That's why they're below the playoff bar. Dallas at 29 points. They are at 29 points, 24 matches. They are in 11th. Fallen off the pace. They're the ones that could be pulled because of time. Sporting at 23 points. What do you want to bet Sporting in all caps as a draw this weekend? I'm just saying. Sporting Kansas City, 6 wins in 25 matches. They've given up 51 goals in 25, an average of just more than 2 a match. 23 points in 25 games. St. Louis, 24 matches played, so they have a match in hand on Sporting, but they're at 22 points. 4-10-10, 31 goals scored, 24 matches. They have not won on the road this year, away from City Park. And then San Jose, the sweepers and the Renault and the Citroen that have the race officials in it, they're keeping an eye on San Jose. 4-18-2, 24 matches played, 14 points, 59 goals allowed by San Jose this year. Sorry, Jarrett. 59 goals allowed in 24 matches. We did the math on that the other day. It's what? 2.4. 2.4 there. 31 goals scored in 24 matches. So 7 over 24. It's like 1.3 to 2.4. That's not a good margin. And so that's where the standings are when it comes to everything that is attached to Major League Soccer. You got your standings, your player availabilities, all those kinds of things. Getting ready for hour number 2. And this is where we get to kind of catch up with friends. And we have a new friend. And if you had a chance to read Maddie Cruz's piece on Ryan Martin up at Loudoun United, it's a really good piece to kind of introduce you to what Coach Martin has been doing there at Loudoun, what Loudoun has been doing now that they're in USL Championship and, not attached to DC United per se. So it was a great feature that Maddie did. And so as I'm trying to filibuster to get it to 10 o'clock, I don't think I'm going to make it. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring Ryan in. And so Ryan Martin, the head coach at Loudoun United, is joining us here to start things off in hour number 2. Coach, welcome to the morning show. Thanks for dropping by.
John, thanks for having me. Really, really appreciate it. Look forward to speaking with you, and thanks for the interest in Loudoun.
All right, so let me go back to, and what I don't want to do is, yes, we all need to be properly hydrated. So what is the glass and what's in the glass? Because I always ask what's in the mug if it's coffee or anything like that.
So right now I'm doing a Polar Seltzer.
There you go.
Yeah, it's my go-to. My wife's and my go-to. So stay hydrated. It gives you little bubbles, gives you a little flavor. It starts your morning off right.
There you go. When you started with Loudoun, let me go back to that day one. Do you remember what your first day of work was like?
Yeah, it was a kind of a crazy one because I came basically like 10 or 11 games into the season from when Richie Williams went up to New England. And I actually flew in from from Dublin, Ireland, I got actually a call when I landed from doing my UEFA license with the FAI. And, Dave Casper was like, "Hey, Richie's taking this job. Would you be interested?" Blah, blah, blah. I said, absolutely. I knew most of the kids at the time. I knew what their goals and ambitions were. I also knew I wanted to coach at that level. And so when he offered, it was a pretty easy decision. And then my first day was really, coming in and I think it was really more of a, how do I help you the players here get to where you want to go? I think that was an important one because the club at the time really wanted a bridge between the academy and the first team. And, that was my goal at the time. So yeah, it was basically a meeting of like, look, I know most of you, but here are the expectations. Obviously there's a developmental piece in it, but when you get into the professional world, and in particular USL Championship, wins and losses do matter, and unfortunately, when you get to the MLS, yeah, we want you to continue to develop, continue to grow, but people's jobs, rely on it, whether at that time it was Ben Olsen or, Hernan Lasota or Wayne Rooney, it was, all very similar where like, no, people's livelihoods, including your own, revolve around your continued growth, but also the execution of what you can do right and wrong in those moments.
How have you grown as a director of player personnel? How have you grown as both a desk guy and as a coach in your time there at Loudoun?
Yeah, I think for me, I've always approached my job and my career with a growth mindset where I've tried to just continue to educate myself, and whether that's with courses or whether that's with reading or meeting people. Some of the biggest ways over the last 5 years, and I always like to say that hopefully, if you worked with me 5 years ago, or when I reflect on where I was 5 years ago, I laugh about, where I maybe was as a coach. So I think that's a good sign of growth. But I've done my UEFA B, UEFA A with the Republic of Ireland. I'm currently doing my U.S. Soccer Pro license. I've actually gone a whole different direction. I found a coach to work with that's helped me in terms of my process, my messaging, the narrative that I control. I use a guy called Cody Royal, who's up in Canada, Aussie Rules, but has worked with a lot of different people. And he refers to it as like a second set of eyes, in terms of, the coaching industry in this world right now, the head coaching is a very tough position to be in. You don't have a lot of feedback from people that have been in your shoes. If you, even look, I know you're down in Atlanta and in the South and stuff. It's like, I wonder what feedback Rob's getting right now in terms of what he's doing right or what he's doing wrong. Or is he just trying to figure it out by himself because nobody above him has sat in those shoes, So for me, it was important to reach out and find somebody that has done it, that can come from a perspective of growth and trying to become better and give me some ideas to maybe make myself and the team better.
Who else is on your speed dial when you have one of those moments where you're like, I've got to shut the door here for a second and dial somebody up? Obviously you've got a great start. Who else is on that speed dial for you when you need to bounce an idea off of folks?
Yeah, I probably reflect back into, so I obviously got a coach, but I also have a couple mentors that I rely heavily on. One is Jay Vidovich, who's up at University of Pittsburgh, who I worked for 9 years with at Wake Forest University. And, obviously I saw in the email you had Parky in earlier, who's obviously an alum and stuff like that. So, I spent a lot of time with Jay, which is a great mentor I've had. My father is the head coach at Ohio Wesleyan University in Columbus and is the all-time winningest coach in college soccer history. So that's another one. And then I was fortunate enough to work with John Harkes in Cincinnati. So, those would be probably my three biggest mentors, where if I have a question, a thought, those are kind of the three that I'll reach out to.
Head coach at Loudoun United and USL Championship, director of player personnel at DC United, Ryan Martin, hanging out with us. He survived the feature with Maddie Cruz, and so he's hanging out with us here on the morning show. You look at what's going on right now with Loudoun, and unbeaten in your last 5 across the board. I think a lot of folks may not necessarily understand how tough at times USL Championship is as a league. And you are in a situation right now where you're in we were kind of using the Tour de France analogies this morning involving Major League Soccer, where you've got the big group, you've got the lead group, and you have the two chase groups. Right now, you're in a group where you are a win out of being in fifth, but if somebody has a good week, you could be below the playoff bar. For someone who hasn't had the chance to see what's going on in USL Championship, how tough is it?
Yeah, it's a incredibly challenging league, and I think when you start looking at the different results coming across the board, even Wednesday, I think Rhode Island beats Birmingham, and you got Oakland, who's number 2 in the West. They get hammered by Pittsburgh 5-0, and I think on any night, really anyone can beat anyone in the league. I think, that's the beauty of the league right now. We beat Tampa a couple of weeks ago, and, they then go on to beat different. It's like, anyone can beat anyone, and it's really a search for consistency. It's a really good league in terms of there's a lot of quality players, young, but also guys that have had decent careers in MLS or overseas. And, for whatever reason, maybe not getting a chance in MLS, but are really talented players. And I think when you also look at it, the pool of coaches is quite impressive with the people coming through the league. And I think, so that really helps with the overall quality. I mean, at Tampa, you've got a guy that's coached, the Scottish Premier League, and you've got, Danny Cruz is doing a great job. Ben Pierman, Bob Lilly's a legend of the game, Mark Briggs out West. And, the list really goes on, so it's a great league for a lot of different ways. And it is challenging because I think the other thing that people don't really understand about the USL is the travel and the lack of maybe resources that MLS teams have. We don't charter flights, so if you play in, like today, for example, I wake up and, all the airports are down and whatnot. If we were traveling today, we'd be stuck in the airport for 8 hours, and then we'd still have to play tomorrow wherever we were going, and it happens to every team in the USL. We were flying back from Sacramento, and we got detoured to San Francisco for 12 hours and then had to play 2 days later against El Paso at home. And, when you look at those type of things, which happen to all the different teams, it makes for even more difficult, moments in your journey as a team.
When you have a roster that can have such a wide age difference, you could have players who could be late 20s, early 30s. You could be what Lou City tries to put together at times, or they have in years past, where you've got a Cameron Lancaster who's a true veteran of the league in times past. But then you've also got the academy folks that are 16, 17, and they're trying to learn and get to that next step in the next stage of their careers. How difficult is it for a coach these days to navigate these age differences and get the messaging across to where it impacts both sets of players, the experienced player and the young player? How difficult is it for a coach these days to gauge how your message is put across and make sure that it's as impactful as it is for younger players as it is for vets?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I think this might be the first year I've ever coached a group that has somebody over 25. So I've kind of been on both ends of that, and I know, so when you're dealing with the young players and young talents and young pros, the biggest thing I've learned is you have to teach them how to become professionals, and that's a search for consistency. What are training habits? And we've created a little bit of just based off my experience with these kids and what they're missing, a roadmap to becoming a pro. And it's how do you deal with critical moments in games? How do you deal with failure? How do you deal with, a lot of it's on the mental side of it where they don't really get it. They're talented for sure, which is why they're there. But when you have a kid that comes in and he gives you a performance that's a 9 out of 10 and he scores a goal, in the USL, and then the next 3 games, he's, 2 out of 10. The question is, how do you get him to 6, 7 out of 10 consistently? And that's been a hard part for a lot of these kids. And then what I found with the older group and kind of merging that is really it comes down to, the belief of you can make older players better still. and you can they all players want honesty, and they want the ability for someone to help them improve, which is what I always try to do. The older players, I try to give more ownership of what we're doing here, because at the end of the day, they're the ones driving the ship. And if you find the right group of older players, which I think we've started to find here at Loudoun, we've got a tremendous group of older guys that are really, I give a lot of ownership to. That helps the younger kids so much more, in my experience. If I look back at where Loudoun was 3 years ago, and we had, I think, the second youngest team in the world of football, if I would have had 3 29, 20, 30, 31-year-old players to help mentor these players and on the field give them answers and solutions and help them through difficult moments when they're playing Louisville or Tampa or Pittsburgh, it would have helped their growth even more. So I've taken a lot of lessons from that in my last 4 or 5 years.
You got 9 different goal scorers this year. And you're very popular this morning, man. That's good.
Yeah, it's incredible. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. It's like, man, your phone's blowing up. I'm not taking you away from anything, am I? It's like they're not just like, you gotta be speeding right now. Where are you? Not one of those.
Yeah. No issues there.
You got 9 different goal scorers this year, and you mentioned some of those younger players that were a part of that youngest group ever, I think, in the history of ever. Because I remember seeing Abdelatif Abukura, who, when he was just starting out in the organization, you've got an experienced guy in Florian Velo who's contributing, but you got 9 different goal scorers. Zach Ryan right now at the top of the ladder for you. What's it like to get the kind of output from all of these different places that you're getting so far this year to be above the playoff bar in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I mean, when we went into the season, we knew it was going to have to be a collective effort. We knew it was going to have to be goals coming from various different players and different positions. And we've gotten just that. And we knew Zach would be at the top. That was kind of something we knew overall. But overall, it's like, all right, how do we support him with more goals? I think last year we got, 1 goal from our central midfielders. This year already we've got 3, 4, 5, in that moment there. So from my end, it's always been collective with this group. So that's where we've gone. And, it says a lot about the group that we're able to score in so many different ways.
When you've got a weekend off, your next match is in the midweek. And so you've got a weekend off. Do you let the players decompress a little bit? Do you taper your schedule? Do you taper the practice schedule? How much of an eye do you still keep on them? Do you want them watching film? Are you watching film? Are you going to the mall? What do you do with an off week?
I wish I had time to golf or go to the mall, but we played this past Saturday, flew back Sunday, and then we were in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we used it as our kind of training fitness push week. And then we gave them Thursday, Friday off, and then we'll have a 4-day build into Charleston and then a 2-day build into Pittsburgh on the road. So now it's the next 7 days are, all hands on deck to see what kind of results we can get against 2 of the top teams in the league. So that was it. In terms of my weekly, daily situation right now, it's watching Charleston, watching Pittsburgh, trying to figure out ways to get results, trying to plan for the upcoming, 2 games, and then Miami on the back end. So you try to take a break and get a bike ride or get your fitness in and keep yourself going on a mental standpoint. But then it also becomes, it doesn't stop. The preparation, the reflection, that just doesn't stop.
Let me ask about what soccer means to the Loudoun area. For those of us that may just be able to only watch a game from Segra on however we're watching games and don't get to be there in person and see how the soccer footprint is there in Loudoun, how would you best break down what soccer means to that part of the U.S. up there in Virginia, suburban D.C. and Virginia? Yeah,
across the street from our stadium is, Loudoun Soccer Club, which is one of the, per number of players is one of the biggest in the country. And I think it's around, 10,000 kids playing in that area. We have numerous other youth clubs in the area that are growing and getting bigger and bigger. Soccer in this area, in particular, Northern Virginia, has been, one of the biggest, but it's also produced a lot of really talented men and women that have gone on to play in various different top leagues and top colleges around the area. So it means a lot. And I think when you look at, DC United plays at Audi Field, and you got, the Spirit at Audi Field, the new women's pro league team at Audi Field, we are really the only thing in Northern Virginia for soccer and most other professional sports. So, for us, it means a lot, and it means us that, the community is a huge part of everything that we do. And so for us, it's important to try to embrace it and really bring something special and something that people want to watch. I think the access that the players give to the fans is also a really big thing. I think when you come out, you can get autographs, you can meet your favorite players. So it's a fun venue to really watch. I don't love the turf field, and our players don't, but the venue itself is a fun venue to see players up close.
And especially when you get to sit on the berm in the end zone in years past, and you get to sit there and be all kinds of crowded and be right there on top of everything. Ryan, thanks for answering the siren call for Maddie and letting us know what's been going on there at Loudoun with you and the growth of Loudoun United. And thanks for coming on the morning show as you're in the middle of this big rush getting ready for the matchup against Charleston coming up in the midweek. Thanks for coming by. We really appreciate it. Thanks for everything that you've done for us on a bunch of different levels here at SDH on the network. Be safe, be well, and may your phone calm down and not ding so much. Just moments of peace.
Yeah, to be honest with you, that's probably the biggest thing I should do is just turn my phone off for a couple of days, and then I can do more work at that point. So
now, am I hearing correctly that it sounds like someone wants to go OUT for a couple of minutes? Was I hearing a collar shaking in the background?
Oh yeah, I've got a dog that's floating around here, running around. So
we are a dog friendly network. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I've got a 13.6 pound Pekingese poodle that my wife and I rescued, and he's a lot of energy, but he keeps us going. So that's on the agenda today at some point as well.
What's the name?
Benji.
Okay, because we have here in the house, the boss has a 14-pound Peke as well, who is Rowdy, and the initial name was we decided to do that for irony, but then once he figured out that he actually could have a personality and that was allowed, it actually has fit him more. So from those of us here at Office HD and Rowdy to Benji and all of the Martins, thanks for coming by on the morning show. Good luck good luck early next week. Thanks for hanging out with Maddie. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
John, appreciate it.
All right, that's Ryan Martin. He's the head coach at Loudoun and director of player personnel at DC United. Great to catch up with him. If you missed the feature that Maddie did with him, you can go to soccerdownhere.net. You can catch up with him and find out what's been going on with them and at Loudoun and with him and his multiple gigs and how he's trying to keep everything locked in place. But Loudoun United, unbeaten in 5, but they are in a fight right now in USL Championship. You have a good week in the East in USL Championship, you get north of the playoff bar. Here's what I was breaking down, because Lou City and Charleston right now, they're in the league group. 38 points and 37. And to Ryan's point, he was discussing what's been going on with the East. Danny Cruz and Ben Pierman, 38 points and 37. Then you've got a little bit of separation. Tampa Bay and Indy 11. And we know about Indy 11 here in this footprint. Tampa Bay with Neil Collins. We know what's been going on with them and how their line of coaches has grown and the experience that they bring in on the touchline there in Tampa Bay. Then the fun starts in the East. Birmingham at 27 points. And we know about Tom Sohn. Detroit City at 27 points. They have 3 matches in hand. 3 matches in hand. And Loudoun right now at 7, 6, and 5. They're at 26 points. They have a match in hand with Birmingham, so they can move over Birmingham. But right now, Birmingham's played 19 matches, tied for the most in the Eastern Conference. Rhode Island, unbeaten in their last 5, and they've won 4 of their last 5, which reminds me, we've got to find a way to get Cano Smith on the show to discuss what's been going on. We'll have to talk to Mr. Parkhurst about that. And so Rhode Island right now is in the playoffs. After their start, where you could have probably called Providence Draw City FC ends up right now at 5-4-10. They're north of the playoff bar. They have come that far in USL Championship. Below the playoff bar right now, North Carolina FC, 22 points. Pittsburgh Riverhounds, they lost 3 of 4, and then that got snapped with a win last time out there at 18 points, 4-9-6. Uncharacteristic for Bob Lilly and a Bob Lilly coach team, but Pittsburgh right now at 18 points. Hartford Athletic at 5-10-2. They're at 17 points, and the Miami FC is last. 19 matches played, 2-15-2. It has been a long season at FIU. Goal difference of -25, 8 points on the year. They've lost 3 in a row. They've lost 4 or 5. So that's the Eastern Conference. But like I said, you got a couple of distinct groups there. It is in the West, New Mexico United on top with 34 points. Second, Oakland Roots. And we mentioned Oakland Roots being a part of that race and then going to Pittsburgh and then losing 5-0. Going to Pittsburgh, that was a big win for Pittsburgh in the grand scheme of things, just to get off the schneid in general. Oakland right now, 29 points. 2 more wins than Sacramento Republic, but Oakland's played 20 matches. Sacramento Republic's got 2 matches in hand. So if they take care of business, they should be in second. New Mexico United, once again, because of their run in Open Cup, they've only played 16 matches. Them, FC Tulsa, they're the only 2 that have played 16 in the Western Conference. But New Mexico United, 34 points, 5 points clear, multiple matches in hand. 2 or 4, depending on the opponent. Sacramento's third with 18 matches played and 29 points. 7 wins on the season. Memphis 901 is in 4th. And Glassy is they've won 3 of 5. And they have points in 4 of their last 5. Colorado Springs at 27 points. Had a 2-game win streak snapped last time out. And they are ahead of Vegas Lights at 27 points on goal difference and wins. Monterey Bay's at 26. Orange County SC's at 24. They've lost 3 of 4. That's your playoff bar. Below the playoff bar in the USL Championship, Phoenix Rising at 21 points. They've lost 2 in a row. San Antonio's at 20 points, 4 points out of the playoffs. They snapped a 4-game losing streak last time out. FC Tulsa 4-6-6. And they're at 18 points. El Paso Locomotive. Remember, they had the coaching change. Wilmer Cabrera now in charge. They are in last at 3-12-3, 12 points, and they've lost 3 in a row. Jarrett Smith now joining us in hour number 2. And it's been a fly-around show this morning where we found coaches in airports getting ready for planes that hopefully will take off, and victims of CrowdStrike as NPSL teams are flying to try to get to matches tomorrow at least. Some NPSL teams are taking buses. So we caught up with our buddy John Shuster again as Duluth FC is taking a bus to Pennsylvania. Brett Teach and Columbus United are stuck at Hartsfield Airport trying to get to Houston. And we spent time in USL Championship and gone through juice boxes. What's on your mind this morning?
No, I'm glad you mentioned Columbus because we haven't really talked about it together much. Yeah. Because that was a really fun match. So, like, the way that kind of developed was, first off, the Southeast did give you a bit of surprise with Hickory in their first season winning the Southeast Conference. It was an awesome story. They hit the ground running. They got the job done in the regular season, survived their first playoff game with Apotheos, which was really weird. It was like a very weird kind of disjointed game, but they got up and put the game away. Then go on the road and beat their rival app. Mm-hmm. And then the storybook ends, but it's Columbus United's storybook now. They're the ones that now have grabbed the storybook. I've talked to Johnny Mercado about this. I've talked to leadership at Apotheos about this. is that, yeah, like a lot of times you want to travel, even if it's a local game, even if like, because I know Apotheos did this, even if it was like just going to North Carolina for a game, you'd rather get there a day early and get settled as opposed to traveling day of. Yeah, this is going to be interesting now because now nobody really can go anywhere except hop on a bus and pray. It's a very weird situation. No gold star for CrowdStrike today.
No.
Yeah, not a great thing. But yeah, like I know everybody's trying to travel and get themselves situated, and IT people all over the place are basically like the SpongeBob meme of like SpongeBob's brain, where like the mini versions of himself are running around and everything's on fire. It's basically that.
Yeah. So that's the fun part of all of this. So we actually do, thanks to BAM and thanks to the beauty of press releases. We do have a little piece of news from our friends out at RSL. Benji Michel added to their roster. RSL's adding former U.S. Youth International forward Benji Michel to the roster. Former Purple winger and University of Portland pilot returns to MLS, available for selection Saturday. Now returns stateside after 2 years with Arouca in Portugal. RSL acquired Michel's MLS right of first refusal from Orlando City in exchange for the better 2025 second-round MLS Super Draft selection and $50,000 in 2026 GAM. If performance-based metrics are achieved, RSL has guaranteed Michel through the end of the ongoing 24. Club options for both 25 and 26. 26 years old. Paragraph from Benji Michel. 2 paragraphs from Benji Michel. He's going to wear number 28 in RSL. A couple of other paragraphs about his information. And so Benji Michel, 26 years old, for the Orlando City's right of first refusal in exchange for the higher 2025 second-round MLS Super Draft pick and $50,000 in 2026 GAM if performance metrics are made. So basically, not a whole lot to get dibs on Benji Michel, but Benji Michel is now being added to RSL, and with the current situation involving another one of their forwards, you need all the forwards I think that you can get. So Benji Michel comes from Portugal via the Purple Team via Portugal to be a part of RSL now. So they get to add that piece of firepower. So broken news this morning. And there was some talk.
I think that technically didn't hit like late last night.
Yeah, and RSL put out the release at 10 o'clock this morning Eastern time. So.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think it was like reported late last night, but just what they need, more attacking talent. RSL already is possibly the best team in the West.
Yep. Also, this morning, the questions have been in the Twitch pitch about Pedro Amador, and I believe that he would be available for selection. I would not necessarily see him starting unless he has been gangbusters, but Pedro Amador, as of yesterday, should be available for selection. My guess is that it would be a cameo, probably second half, just to get the engine warm and to get him acquainted and acclimated with what's going on involving an Atlanta United match itself. This will be interesting with Columbus coming to town, and we talked about the standings and Columbus needing to keep the pace, even though they have 2 matches in hand. Those haven't been offset yet. But the Columbus lineup should be interesting coming into town after what went on in the midweek. And for Atlanta United, they're an underdog, understandably so, with Columbus coming to town. What are you looking at when it comes to Atlanta United and Columbus tomorrow night?
You can't have it. Columbus is an absolute monster of a team. And look, you had 2 matches this week. The first match was the one where you were more likely to get something out of it. This is going to be much tougher.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it even worse that you dropped those points with a 2-goal lead.
Yep.
against New York City, and yeah, I'm still pissed about it personally.
You're not the only one.
You had a 2-goal lead. You scored in the first 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And then you gave it away with a bad giveaway and then a questionable penalty. Like that, but looking ahead, you had this match before Leagues Cup.
Yep.
This was the game where like, okay, well, yeah, you might get something. Yeah. Your home form has been better. Like it's stabilized. You're not dropping. You're not on a 5-game losing streak at home anymore. But I'm not joking. Like it's that the further you get from the NYC game, the more annoying it is. And the players felt it too in the locker room. They were pissed. And of course they would be.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that we haven't had the opportunity to discuss was that you and Maddie had the chance to go into the locker room after the match.
Nobody wanted to talk.
Yeah.
Like a couple of guys talked. Because it's kind of the thing where somebody has to. So a couple of guys did, but nobody wanted to talk about it because they were mad too. I mean, I know we don't talk about looking ahead, but it's Columbus coming in. Mm-hmm. Columbus has been a problem. Columbus has been kind of weird in that there have had a couple games where I thought they kind of, for lack of a better word, almost played down to who they were playing.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't mean that in like the condescending.
Yeah, the pejorative sense, no.
Yeah. Because like they'll still go out there and pummel somebody. But like, they basically dismembered LAFC. They got up for that one and dismembered them. But the Orlando game this midweek, Charlotte game, like Charlotte gave them all they could handle. Charlotte pulls the draw late.
Yep.
But Charlotte gave them all they could handle. You're going to need huge performances from everybody. It's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just what it is, man.
Lineup for Columbus last time out. Nicholas Hagen got the start in net because of Schulte and Olympic duty. Back three listed as Morera, Camacho, and Malte Amundsen. 4 in the midfield, Arfston and Farsi on the edges, Sean Zawadzki and Driver, who I believe just recently celebrated a birthday. Darlington Nagbe wore the captain's armband. And then your 3 up top, Christian Ramirez, Cucho Hernandez, Diego Rossi. And Cucho got the goal in the 31st. Then it was Ajimong scoring in the 83rd to get the equalizer for the 1-1 draw. Subs that were used, Yaya Boa came in with 10 minutes to go to sub for Arfston. Alexandru Matan came in with 10 to go to sub out for C-Ram. And then Jason Russell-Rowe had a cup of coffee for Sean Zawadzki. Unused subs to just kind of keep an eye on for possible roster rotation on the weekend. Derek Jones, Cole Moroka, William Sands, Yevon Shaberko, and Cole Johnson for Columbus. So Columbus went with a bit of a shorter bench than what you might be used to in a home match situation. So he didn't use 4. Jason Russell-Rowe had a cup of coffee. 2 players came in a double switch with 10 minutes to go, Yaboa and Matan, Arfston, and Ramirez. And then everybody else played the full 90 because you had a 1-goal lead and you were trying to sit on it and come out of there with full points. But Hagen, Morera, Camacho, Amundsen, Farsi, Zawadzki, Nagbe, Arfston, Ramirez, C-Ram, Cucho Hernandez, and Diego Rossi. And that was the lineup that Columbus trotted out against Charlotte for the 1-1 draw on the weekend. For Atlanta United, the roster that was there for Atlanta United, it was Brad in net. It was 4 at the back, Brooks, Derek, Luis Abram, Ronald Hernandez. Midfield 3, Bartosz Slisz, Dax McCarty, Tristan Muyumba. And then up top, it was Saba, Daniel Rios, and Shande Silva to start. Substitutes, Jamal came in with about 20 to go, and he subbed in for Rios. Jay Fortune came in for 15, subbing for Tristan. And then Luke Brennan came in for 15, subbing for Saba, and picked up the yellow card. Sure. Then your subs were Matt Edwards, Nick Firmino, Efren Morales, Tyler Wolf, that did not play in the match against NYC. So looking at lineup versus availability, are you looking at the flipping of, say, a Jay and a Dax from what happened in the midweek and rolling that over into Jay starting and Dax coming in to relieve? How are you looking?
If Dax can give you minutes. Again, Dax is 37, 38.
Yeah.
Just doesn't have the legs they used to have in. Not a shot at Dax. He can't. It's because of not just the fact that it's a 2-game match week, but you've been doing this for a month plus now. Asking him to do that was tough. You go back to 5 at the back and 2 in the middle like you had been before, and maybe it's Bartek and Jay, or Bartek and Tristan, or Tristan and Jay, however you want to piece it together.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you do that. I don't know. And I say I don't know. One of the reasons I think you went to 4, aside from many matchup reasons, is the fact that you were missing center backs.
Correct.
Miss Dion will be back in the fold, so maybe you go back to 3.
That's true.
But Noah's with the U20s, so you are missing guys. And if you ran all of your center backs out there with 3 center backs, you were to a point there where you really didn't have a defensive option on the bench,
mm-hmm.
and you wanted to have that. So maybe you go with the same thing again. Maybe you go to 2 center backs with guys on the bench who can be options to come in and shore things up if you need it. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe that's what you look for building out.
Yeah, and then also getting help from a 6 and having that as a de facto third center back in a situation like this, where you have somebody playing a little closer to home, and then waiting for those opportunities to jump into play, but not making it part of your checklist that, I must immediately do this, but it's more making sure that you've got help and having that the 6 be your defensive midfielder being a de facto center back and drifting back to help out against that offense that, that could be some combination once again of C-Ram, Matan, Diego Rossi and Cucho Hernandez. And so
it's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with, which is why you needed to win the midweek when you were in the position you were in, because it's a tough win today. It's a tough win to go to right now. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a brutal game.
Yep.
And the schedule doesn't stop. Let's click clack.
Yeah.
With the incredibly loud keyboard. So you have, the good news is you have almost a week off after this. You can play again next Friday with DC. What a blessing. Thanks, MLS. 6 days off after suicide cannonball runs.
Yes.
And then you have those 2 games with DC and then Santos. And then if you advance through League Cup, then you'll keep playing. Otherwise, then you have a break till LA Galaxy, where you're looking at situations there where you might see names pop up more and more often for the guys to come in, because they still have to go through visa processes.
Yeah, that's the other element in all of this, is that the visa is not something that you can go to the cigarette machine, throw in $2.50 worth of quarters and get one.
Yeah, you have to go through the government visa process. The good news is if you get all that done in the next week or 2, let's see, the next game's on the 24th. The Galaxy, where's my calendar?
Oh, so you're hunting for Atlanta United?
I'm looking.
It is.
So
yeah,
I mean, if you, as the rumors start flying, there's a good chance you would have guys, if you brought someone in the next few weeks, that you would have, the next week or 2, that you would have them available for the Galaxy match for the stretch run. But yeah, man, this is a tough road to end things on, and you're going to push everything you can into this Columbus game. Yep,
because you've got that week off, and it is a match.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is.
This is why it was so maddening to not get points out of NYC, because you knew you have a tough game tomorrow.
Yeah,
and you could take 3 points off of Columbus. Absolutely. It's foolhardy to try and predict MLS at any given moment.
Yes,
it was a fool's errand.
Yes, absolutely true. So basically, whatever I say when we discuss what's going on with juice boxes, if you hear a prediction come out of my mouth, go the other way, because 10 times out of 9, whatever I say, it ends up being 180% wrong. And so if I'm saying, if I personally sit there and say, if I venture an idea of, well, hey, yeah, this one looks like it could be a shootout. Odds are it's probably going to be a 1-0 thriller or just something that's going to make paint dry. So whatever I say when it comes to predictions, and this is turned into almost being the insert your God's here honest truth. I'm about 180% wrong about how things actually do go in any sport. So if you want me to pick something, I'll say something and then go the other way. Literally, that's what you do. Go the other way. But yeah, the visa process, what you've got to look at, you've got the Leagues Cup match on the 26th, the Leagues Cup match on the 4th. Then if you get out of group, then you're kind of sitting there and you're trying to figure out what's going on. For the road game at LAG on the 24th, that's what you're staring at in August. In August 24th at LAG. That is your next league game. So you've got a month to that. But you've also got to navigate group stage. Do not anticipate having any reinforcements outside of your second team and the current situation, unless you pick up somebody on a free and it's a domestic or you deal something domestically.
Yeah, I mean, in trades are always a possibility.
Yeah.
But,
but yeah, like I said, it's just, as you say, it is more of a realistic expectation in this window for someone to be brought in and let that happen by LAG, because that's more of a realistic expectation for August 24th to have somebody there for that match instead of sitting there and saying, are we going to have reinforcements for Leagues Cup? That reinforcement is probably Pedro Amador for now. Mm-hmm. Then everybody else that is a part of your normal rotation. Anything outside of that.
And then you are just actively begging the universe to, and all associated teams around you, to be in a situation where next year when Leagues Cup comes around, you're not sitting there thinking, just get me through this and get me into the window where I can make changes.
Yes.
Because it will be very interesting to see how they are able to try and make adjustments. Because because of the money you're working with, we saw the changes in the way that roster rules are happening.
Yeah, we didn't.
You're going to. Yes. You're going. So TLDR, U22s aren't tied to designated player spots anymore. They're separate. Also, Atlanta should get more money out of the Caleb Wiley transfer.
Yeah.
If you want something that's really asinine, it's the fact that Atlanta can make $40+ million on transfers in a month, and they don't get to put $40 million into the coffers.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the way MLS is structured, with the yes and that is kind of an improv style, the way everything's been built up. That being said,
yes,
if you're shopping with the idea of we can drop 40 million, then you're looking in aisles for guys that transcend the idea of just one particular coach or one particular idea.
Correct.
This isn't like, you're not shopping like Philadelphia does. I know that's like not the best example, because Rich will come in here and yell about how Philadelphia doesn't spend, and they don't. But you're not shopping for a guy on a budget to fit a specific style. You're shopping in an aisle potentially to have someone who can do a number of different things.
Yep.
So you go out and you get someone like that. But Atlanta should be able to convert a bunch of money off of that into GAM. Buy down some of the transfers for like Gregerson and Bartek Slish, and basically have them off designated player areas. So you could go into next season with, let's say you add a 10 in this window. I know the Moranchuk rumor. So let's play out the Moranchuk rumor.
Well, and there is a bit of an update on Miranchuk as well.
Miranchuk, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just.
What's the update?
Yesterday, Alfredo Padula, who is a scribe over in Italy and works for TV Della Sport, 368,000 followers on the 280 character app. Yesterday, article posted, Insider, and this is Google translated, Insider tip: Miranchuk skips friendly. Atlanta is pressuring. That's the headline. Miranchuk did not participate in the friendly. Explanation is only market related. The winger is considering Atlanta's proposal, but should resolve his reservations in the next few hours. Atalanta has already accepted the proposal of 12 to 13 million, bonuses included. Optimism is growing. And so that is from Alfredo Padula, who works at TV Della Sport, among other places. So the report from Padula is it's getting closer. 12 to 13 million in the neighborhood for Miranchuk. Sorry, I bookmarked your conversation. Go for it.
So, because Tom's asking about, so one of the things is one of the updated rules allows clubs to convert for this window going forward. Allows clubs to convert up to $3 million of total transfer revenues into general allocation money. Then what you'll be able to do is buy guys down. So, like a lot of the reason that guys like Stian Gregerson and Schlich count as DPs is because of their transfer fees. You're rolling your transfer fee into everything. You buy down those, you basically finish paying off those transfer fees, and then it's just salary, and it's easier to buy it down because you're not factoring in the transfer fees, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So basically, none of them or Saba would count against a DP spot. Like I think Gregerson is taking a DP spot this year, but it's kind of a DP spot in name only, which is why I get incredibly pissed off when it becomes the really bad faith argument when people complain about, oh, is your DP defender making a mistake? It's a DP in name only. I mean, because you spent money to bring him in. You spent money to bring Stian Gregerson in. You spent money to bring Schlich in. You spent money to bring Saba in, and those transfer fees are rolled into things. So when you complain about it being, well, Gregerson's a DP, well, all three of them technically cost on a DP because of their transfer fees rolled into it. He's just the one you didn't buy down all the way. It's just a bad faith argument. And I know the front office infuriates people, but that's just the way MLS is structured. It's not necessarily the way the front office may want to do things, but it's the most efficient way. And, I know that the guard that's talked about, redoing a number, like fixing a number of contracts and trying to make them more. I think one of the things he talked about in the pre-show discussions, in the countdown to kickoff, was the idea of like doing structured contracts that work long term. So what you could end up with, let's say it's Baranchuk. Let's say that is. Let's play out the game theory here.
Sure.
And let's play out the war game. Let's war game it out that Baranchuk takes the deal, comes here. And there's your 10. Let's say that you don't find a striker or a left winger that really fits what you want this window.
Right.
That fits the price. That fits who you want to bring in, numbers wise, statistics wise, sabermetrics wise, personality wise. Okay, that's fine. Jamal and Daniel Rios are doing Lions work. They're doing yeoman's work right now. Are they top flight strikers? I don't think so, but there is just an absolutely sickening irony to the fact that Atlanta United, in a year where so much has gone wrong, finally has like really good backup striker production. Yeah. And that's something that's been missing for years. Yeah. So let's say you don't bring someone in. Let's say it's just Miranchuk. Let's war game this one out.
Sure.
Let's say it's just him. And you go into the next window thinking, okay, well, we have a DP spot. Well, because of the money you're able to convert to Cam, and especially because it's a homegrown with Caleb, so it's even more beneficial to you. You might go into next year bringing him Miranchuk and still have 2 DP spots open because Schlich and Gregerson and Saba aren't taking those spots, one of those spots. So you might roll into January with two open spots, plus 2 or 3 U22 spots because Ibarra and Sosa will be off the books. I'm not sure about the contract situation for Edwin Mosquera.
Right.
Edwin has disappointed me this year. I thought he had started to find himself late last year, and even in the first few games this year as a bench guy to come in late in games. He has not produced. He has not been consistent enough. And now he's not able to stay healthy.
Right.
But
the bottom line is
you might not bring him back. So you might end up with 3 U22 spots as well.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of open space and money, and open space in areas where money isn't really an object.
Yeah. So, and you can
or
go
salary's not an object.
Right.
So
and you can go 3-3, or you can go 2-4. And you get
finish up. That's a good point. Go for it.
If you can go 3-3, you can go 3 DPs and 3 U22s, or you can go 2 DPs and 4 U22s. And if you choose to go 2-4, you can get up to an additional $2 million added in Garber bucks if you choose that path.
And to Tom's question, because I thank you for asking it, Tom, because I know it's MLS, man. It's confusing. MLS likes to make things so confusing and difficult. It's just mind blowing. And take care, Bam.
Yes.
Olympics are coming up. Let's have fun with that.
Yes.
And then I'll tentatively start planning my trip for the next Ashes.
Yes.
And come down to Australia for the Ashes,
Right.
where we watch England once again fail to capture the Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
Because basketball, I hope they still keep basketball by then. It's
Yeah.
very funny watching them be sad. English are having a really bad run of it.
Yeah. Yes. And the Garber bucks, if you choose the 2+ at the 2 and the 4 instead of the 3 and the 3, you can buy down a player's salary budget charge, sign new players, re-sign an existing player, offset acquisitions, and more. So, I think you choose the 2 and 4 instead of the 3 and 3.
If you do 2 and 4, it's 2 designated players for U22 initiatives. And once again, we're just building rules upon rules, and I think it's exhausting. So, to Emilio's question, do you want U22s to be serviceable or people move for profit? ¿Por qué no los dos?
Yeah.
But looking at the Maranchuk move, it's the kind of move that Garth would have made in Seattle. And I think this is an op-ed. I'm not speaking for the team.
Sure.
I want to preface that very clearly. I think the days of picking up a 22-year-old Wunderkind out of Argentina, holding him for 2 years and selling him on are mostly done.
Yeah, I think
you're going to go get the DPs you get now are going to be, you're looking like 26 to 29 years old guy who excelled in some areas somewhere else, and you want to bring him here for a long term. The idea with Yakumakis was for him to stay long term.
Yep.
Now Yako couldn't stay healthy, wanted more money, got more money from Cruz Azul. Ish happens.
Yeah.
The idea for him, though, was to come here and be here for a number of seasons. It just didn't work out that way. And then you got a bunch of money out of it. Worse things happen at sea.
Correct.
But I think those U22 spots, though, are where you would be looking for guys who you're either taking a flyer on, like some of those guys who have like middling floor but very, very high ceiling if you can unlock them.
Yeah.
And then those might be the guys you move on for profit. But the raw DP spots, I think you're going to see more of 26, 28, 29-year-old guys to come in and be key cogs and be leaders, really.
Yep.
And what you need right now is you're going to need more leadership because the sun is setting on Brad's career, as good as he has been. And as much of a leader as he has been. And it's going to be, you're going to need more guys who can come in and be that. And so, like backtracking. So Tom's other question, we sure we're going to have another DP open by the winter window? Like, you have 2 right now. Like I said, we can war game out Maranchuk because that rumor is really heavy at this point.
Right.
That would be one of them gone. You would still have an open DP spot. And then it gets into, I think what I think versus what we can use our therapy words. I feel I know. I don't know what they'll do.
Yeah.
I feel like that Maranchuk thing, just because there's so much smoke at this point, I feel like you're just waiting for him to agree to it.
Yeah.
I think you will try and fill that second spot in this window. But I also feel like if you don't find the right guy at the right price, the right personality, that there are worse things than waiting to January. It just depends on what's available right now. You'll make the managing decisions as well, but because of these rule changes and because as much money as you'll be able to convert, you should be able to go into that with another DP spot. Like, you should be able to buy down everything, and you could go into it with potentially, I don't want to put it in stone,
right?
You could be able to buy down the fees for the other three players we talked about, and then have 3 DP spots. Like, Maranchuk in this situation would be one of them, but then have 2 other DP spots plus your U22s, however you want to break that up. Yeah. So buying out Dion, so Maranchuk, a striker, and then a third one, right? Yes. So we bantered this idea around of, like, you go improve the left wing.
Yeah.
Like, go get like a monster left winger.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion personally, and you may disagree, and that's totally okay, that I don't think Saba's a number 1, but Saba, I think if you loaded up, you brought in a 10, you brought in a big striker, and you brought in some chaotic left winger. If Saba's your 3rd or 4th option, and he's benefiting from the gravity of others, I think he can be incredibly productive. Just don't think he is consistent enough to be that 1A guy. Like, he's not your 1A guy. Mm-hmm. He is a guy who can, in games, take over games on the right night. Like, you can have the Miami game where he's just a monster.
Right.
And he's hitting on all cylinders. But he's that guy. I think that if you don't need him to be just A1 every time out,
yeah,
he can be an absolutely wonderful piece. And yeah, he got his goal last time cleaning up. I think you need more consistency on that left wing anyway. Like, Shande was good the other night, but Shande's been disappointing this year. And you expected more out of him after what he showed you in flashes last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could have a lot to work with, and I think I would imagine they look at another attacker this window because you have 2 DP spots.
Right. Cristaldo update, by the way, and once again, this is just a Cristaldo report out of Gremio. One of the Gremio following outlets. Basically, it's Soccer News Gremio. So however you want to phrase them, they follow Gremio and they report Gremio things. In recent weeks, Franco Cristaldo received a survey. This is translated. Received a survey from Atlanta United. Argentina currently receives US $63,000 a month. So yeah, so
$63,000 a month.
Yeah, so his salary translated out at Gremio is $630, so $750,000 a year for Franco Cristaldo. Yeah. He is, so he is also asking for an increase in his salary at Gremio, according to local.
Technically, it's tammable too.
Yeah. So, so $750 a year is what Franco Cristaldo is making at Gremio. He is, literally an attacking midfielder. So, can you get Miranchuk before you could get a Cristaldo? Cristaldo's contract with Gremio.
Sure Cristaldo plays as a 10, right?
Yeah, the main position, attacking midfielder. He can also play a central midfielder or a second striker.
Yeah, they would do similar things.
Yeah. So Yeah. No, I was just going to say right now, Cristaldo's contract goes until the end of the calendar year of 26. So that's the first thing. His contract goes for another year and a half.
Okay. I mean, you would sign anybody you bring into a new contract, so whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of the Cristaldo thing, personally, I took as he wants more money from Gremio.
Yeah.
His agent decided, like he said, I want more money. We want more money from Gremio.
Yeah.
And either reached out to clubs or clubs were like, yeah, we'll talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And it just puts more money. It just puts more pressure on a guy, on a club to try and figure out the financial situation, a la a Giacomakis.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you would have in the way of actual pressure there. We'll see.
Right.
Again, it's until we get one of the tier ones.
Yeah.
In Argentina talking about it, I'm just kind of looking at it with a wayward eye.
Yeah, and the Miranchuk reports are seemingly closer to some kind of resolution, possibly, probably, perhaps. His contract at Atalanta goes to the end of the 25-26 fiscal year, so his contract ends 6 months earlier than Cristaldo's does, June 30 of 26. So he's got 2 years left on his deal right now, and he's listed as attacking midfielder, center forward, right wing. So
Fab is talking about Miranchuk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm considering that priority one in terms of our rumor discussion.
Right.
The Cristaldo thing got put out by God knows who.
Yeah.
So I'm not considering that to be a tier one right now. Like, that's just where I am with it. Like, you want to talk about it, that's fine, but I'm not going to talk about it super seriously until we get something more concrete out of it. To Emilio's question, would Saab, do you consider him starter or super sub? I think I'm fine with Saab starting on the right wing, but
just not your primary attack threat.
Yeah. To, like, not driving everything through Saba, like having more productive and explosive players around him so that the onus is not on him.
Right.
Being the Chris Bosh on this team and not having to be the LeBron James on this team.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Oh, it does. Absolutely.
So,
John Shuster emailed us back, by the way, and he was asked if he was a fan of Trampled by Turtles. He says, casually, but in this town, meaning Duluth, those guys are kings. They do things like pop-up concerts for free at the place pub that they started. Amazing ambassadors to music in this community, and Shuey is more of a country guy. So that was Inquiring Minds. I don't know if getting both Cristaldo and Miranchuk is practical. I don't know if it is.
I don't think they're I don't, unless one of them decides they want to play outside or
I think that if you
up top, like Cristaldo is more of. It's funny, Cristaldo, when he got his professional debut, I think it was in like 2014 or 2015.
Right.
Do you know who he came on for? Lucho.
Nice.
He's also similarly built. Like he's taller than Lucho. Lucho's like
5'2".
Yeah, 5'2" on his toes in the morning before gravity is worn on his soul.
Right.
But Cristaldo is a smaller guy. But I'm not reading into the Cristaldo thing that much right now. Let's see more sources pick it up. I don't want to give unnecessary oxygen to something that's going to flame out.
Correct. And
I don't know if Cristaldo is actually a winger. I've honestly not watched him enough.
He can, but it's not his primary.
Yeah. Coaching search. Yeah. Man.
That's in the Nunya department.
The coaching search?
Yeah.
I don't want to phrase it like that. It's just.
I mean, it's like, look,
your team no leaks right now on the coaching front.
Basically, it's a need to know basis, and you don't need to know. And
that's not going to go over with anybody well in this fan base, just so we're clear. But
I know, but still, I mean, you don't chase after players and you don't look after coaches in the public sphere.
Alex, we still have our chance to create the monster between us.
Yeah,
just hop on my shoulders and we can can go out there and take over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, like the coaching search, it has been cricket so far.
Yeah.
We haven't really heard or seen anything.
No.
And yeah, I'll always defer to, if we want, depending on the updates we want, like just checking in with the Garth pregame discussion, which I'm sure will happen Saturday too.
Yes.
So that will be, when the next time we probably hear from him, unless he pops up on radio today on 92.9.
Right.
New coach isn't coming to the off season. So, I mean, I think, and yeah, Tom, I'd seen that too, that like nothing's happening to the off season, but I think people were surprised by the lack of rumors.
Yeah.
But even, I will direct everyone to the last few coaching hires going back. Frank came out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Heinze thing, I think it started surfacing when it was almost done.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then like Gonzo was more of a like, if they're going to stay in league, this is where they're going to go kind of guy.
Yeah.
It actually, I think people put their SEC skills to the test. That one. I think they tracked Arthur's yacht to Seattle.
Yeah, tracking the yacht and tracking planes, brother. You look, you're in the right part of the country for that.
Yeah. Notice how Arthur didn't take over an entire social media platform and destroy it, just so people couldn't track his yacht. Just so we're clear. National team coach. That's all. Vieira. I saw that. Vieira would have been an interesting one, dude. Vieira would be interesting here. Like but it would be. It's very weird because like I thought he was good at NYC,
right?
And then it's just like he made the jump to Europe and it just didn't work.
Right.
I don't know if it was weird places he went to, or what.
Yeah.
But has not worked at all.
Right.
So I'd be very interested to see. How that goes.
Yep. Let's see. A couple of other things before we get out of here. Como has confirmed, says Fabregas is their new manager. Murata has moved over to AC Milan for $13 million, and it looks like virtual offside lines will be used in Leagues Cup. No word if it's coming full time. And let's see. I'm trying to think of what else is going on. Tony and Ross are going to be calling the match this weekend. And, CBS Sports and Serie A have renewed their media rights deal, multi-year agreement, and they also picked up the EFL from the four letters. So Paramount Plus adding more soccer to all their stuff. Yes?
Doug is saying that the Leagues Cup will use virtual offside technology.
Yes, that is true.
All right.
We'll
like are we talking like semi-automated? Like,
yep, no worries. But so there you go. All right. So USA Jamaica 10 o'clock tonight on FS2, the U20 championships. Keep an eye on that, USA and Jamaica. Anything else before we get out of here? Because we got to catch up with Steve Cook and get ready for our broadcast on Sunday afternoon.
No, not really. Keep an eye on NPSL because NPSL should be done. Beautiful Columbus is still alive going out to Texas.
Yep, that's true. So we'll keep an eye on that. Thanks to everybody who hopped in on short order. Brett Teach, John Shuster, Ryan Martin from Loudoun United, Jarrett, as always, for dropping in, and for all of you guys for doing so. And don't forget, Crown Legacy, 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon, involving Atlanta United 2 here in the SDH Network, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. We'll see you Saturday at Mercedes-Benz with Atlanta United and Columbus Crew, 6:30 pregame, 7:40 kick, full postgame show after. For Jarrett, I'm John. I don't know if I can whistle my way out of here. We're just going to end it. There you go, brother. We'll see you in a little less than a little bit, but we'll obviously be back with the show on Monday. Mucha Platiel played safe, and we're out. We'll see you later.